Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hello, it's Gemma, and this is episode 294. This one's called Checking In because I don't have much. And I know what you're all thinking. She says that all the time, so she'll talk for an hour. Probably. But I mean, the show notes are so slow that I've actually got a picture of sushi from my favorite sushi place, which is still Starfish Sushi down in Los Feliz. And they do rice-free sushi, and that's why I love them so. And so there's their Havana Pearl, and you can enjoy it in full living color because they know me, so their chef does these beautiful little presentations. You can see they put a flower on the top and a little bit of lettuce and all that. It's wonderful stuff, but that's crab salad with sashimi wrapped in cucumber. Love it! In a sort of vinegary sauce. I am pretty sure there's sugar in that vinegar. It's a little bit sweet. It could be a sweetened white rice vinegar, but for my money, we're not eating that much of it. It's only falling off, as it were, the pieces of the sushi. At any rate, you can argue that into the ground, but I'm doing really well. I want you to know that when I talk about the show notes, they are at cognitivepodcast.blogspot.com. You can comment there, or on our group in Ravelry. And speaking of which, I want to thank Chris who I think I have a running conversation with, which I'm very grateful for. She mentions the Dirk Gently duo of books by the same guy who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and Douglas Adams, and they're wonderful. Douglas Adams was one of these treasures who died too young. He wrote very funny, quirky books. And if you haven't read the Hitchhiker's Guide series, you've really missed something. Dirk Gently, I think the biggest problem Adams had was after you've had this mega hit, like the Hitchhiker's Guide, which was a BBC radio program. It's been a movie, it's been a television series, and then he novelized it. After that, seriously, what are you going to write? So Dirk Gently, you have to not judge it by Hitchhiker's Guide, because Hitchhiker's Guide just became an international icon. He died very young. He died very suddenly. I will never stop mourning the guy. If you want somebody more current who writes like him, Jasper Fforde, that's who it is. I've mentioned Jasper Ford's books before. They're all brilliant. He's got several series now, but the most enduring of his series is the Thursday Next books. If you are at all conversant in British lit, the Thursday Next series is killer. It's so good. So thank you, Chris, for taking me down my very happy memory lane of incredibly wonderful books there. I also, as always, want to thank my communities on Finch, on Reddit, on the ground in the SCV in the Antelope Valley, and in this group. For those of you who are with me on Reddit, yeah, I'm toying with phasing one of my birds out, but I never quite get there. But I don't have the time I used to have to sit down and say good morning and good night to everybody on my two accounts. And I regret that. So I am trying to send you love when things... I'm sorry. I've got one of the Roombas is still going in the background. We'll get there. But I'm trying to send you love when things quiet down or when you pop up into my Finch feed. Don't give up on me. I love you guys. I'm still there. CFR 12, yeah, I think I'm going to sit down over Labor Day and work on that one because it really does need to be done. So forgive me, but the information is right there in the show notes. It's a little sparse right now, but it's not happening until November 7th, 2026. Yes, we are going to have Jasmine Knitmore there. And I'm really looking forward to this. My Roomba just crashed. I have to tell you, oh, come on, you don't care, right? I'm just checking in. Since my vacation, I now have the 3 Roombas. Things you should know. I thought the newest Roomba, Kumba, was not very good. He's great. On the newer Roombas, there's a setting for standard cleaning and then one for deep cleaning. I found that, bumped into it accidentally. Kumba's been doing great. And did I need 3 Roombas in this little house? Maybe not, but it sure makes life a lot easier because the old 2 Roombas are harder to clean than Kumba. But they do go a little deeper, I think. And so the answer is I run them all every other day when nobody's around or I'm frozen in one room, so I'm just out of their way. And it's gotten much easier to clean them, and the house looks amazing. I am a Roomba fan. It is worth decluttering your home to have Roombas, let me tell you. The improvement in my allergies has been remarkable. Okay, but meanwhile, back at CFR, November 7th, 2026, how you sign up is in the show notes at cognitivepodcast.blogspot.com, but also in our group on Ravelry. So what's on my hooks and needles? Nothing new is going on. That's why I have so little to say. The Bloodroot tea, in my size, I think it's size D as in dog, it should be about 40 inches, put it that way. When you're past all the increases in setting up the very topmost section, which is complex, and you have to really just follow it line by line and be very faithful, and involved a little fudging on my part. However, when you get past that, you have a long section where all you're doing is adding to the body and increasing on the sections that will become the sleeves. I had 48 rows of that. I finally finished that this past weekend, which was great. Now I have 8 rows where every other row you increase the body and the sleeves. The rows between, you increase only the sleeves. This feels so much easier and lighter because I finally feel like I can see the sweater. It is gorgeous. I also want to say, Chris, yes, you said you hadn't finished your Bloodroot, but then I saw your pictures on Instagram where you finished it. Boy, is it pretty. Why did everybody do it in red? You and me and Jasmine all chose reds. Could it be that the name has blood in it? Anyway, I'm really looking forward to finishing this, and I'm surviving what Chris would call a 4-ply and I would call a fingering weight sweater. This is a thing I swore I'd never do. I got rid of my sport weight rather than do it in sport weight. That's how serious I was. However, I did, and I'm liking it, which leads me to the crocheted Oceanside top. This is an adaptation of an old Peyton's yarn color block top, it's called, in crochet, that I've talked about a million times. It's going really well. I just did 102 stitches across to get 100 stitches because you use the last 2 to make the new stitch on the next row. So basically, I chained 102 and got 100 stitches for my size 40. I had experimented with this before I started the Bloodroot way back a few weeks ago, months ago it feels like. Couldn't get anywhere, suddenly got somewhere. Now when I did this top in DK weight, it goes lickety-split. When I did it in size 4 worsted, of course it went lickety-split. Nothing goes lickety-split in sock yarn, alias fingering yarn, alias 4-ply. And this one, because I'm using a very small hook, I think it's a 3.0 millimeter, you have to be careful because strands get caught in the hook. So you have to work on this very mindfully. However, I am well into the second color. There will be at least 3 colors. There may be 4. I am enjoying it. I like the hand of it. It's going to be a very nice spring and summer tunic. And it's just getting me through at least 3 to 4 skeins of my fingering weight, which is the plan. I want to really work through my fingering weight stash. The quilt squares, right now I have my scrap quilt squares, and I'm looking at them because when I reorganized, I put them where I can see them, and that's having a really good effect. So I'm looking at them and I'm silently planning, how can I steal a few hours this weekend to work on them, because I was going to do a 10 by 10 block quilt. That would be ginormous. So I will probably make it smaller, which means I've got 65 blocks right now, and I'm thinking I should probably get myself up to like 66 or 77 and put that together and see how big that is. Jasmine Knitmore has waved in front of my desperate eyes the tantalizing truth that you can buy 109-inch cotton fabric, i.e. no assembling a quilt back, a straight up quilt back, just cut it to size. She also has a store up there that will help you pick this out and then we'll put it all together for you. Holy manoli. I also have, from Joann's going out of business sale, several queen-sized battings. So I'm really hoping something's going to happen here. I also have several quilts that are with Jasmine right now that are gifts from the wonderful Gigi Knitmore. And that's interfering. I mean, every time I think about this, I get all choked up. I miss Gigi like there's no tomorrow. So, at any rate, I will get on to this, and I will let you see where I go with it. I will probably look at this in terms of making 11 block stripes and see where we go. I need to, in other words, lay it out and pin it together is what I'm really saying, and start thinking about what the stripes would look like. This is going to be a little dodgy because I need to have something to lay out over my bed to get a sense of how big these squares are. Now, I have a queen-size bed. I could go up to a king-size quilt very, very easily. So we'll see. But that's where we are, and I'm looking at those blocks even as I speak to you right now, and we'll see how that goes. No spinning right now. Let's get on to a strategy, shall we? Well, the strategy this week is I'm still continuing in the very positive mode that I started during my vacation. This makes me so happy. So I have pulled out the really ugly little My Little Ponies backpack, and that is going to go to Remainders and stay there because of something I'll talk about in a minute in the blather. To my joy, Remainders will take your project bags, and they'll take just about any fabric bag. They want them. They're really interested in them. So, I am giving them to Remainders, stuffing them with some of my leftovers. So the My Little Pony bag is getting stuffed right now. I've pretty much gone through my crafting books and given them what I can give them there. And I'm very, very pleased about that. Let me tell you, my bookshelf got thinner and cleaner, among other things. And I'm still finding scrap yarns and scrap fabrics that I can donate to them. So, I went to the mall, the Glendale Galleria, last weekend, and I cannot remember why I didn't want to go to the mall. I wanted to go to Los Feliz and get sushi and go over to the Little Knittery, but, I got off the train and realized I was wearing sandals I could not walk in very far. So I said, oh no. And I said, well, what do I want to do here? And I thought, I'll go get shoes. I mean, shoes, you keep them, you wear them out sooner or later. So I went up to the Glendale Galleria, and that was a faster trip from the Glendale train station. And I went into Crocs and just said, well, let's see if Crocs has anything on sale. I was wearing Crocs sandals with no backs and no strapping on them, except over the toes. And I went in there. Crocs had a brainstorm. They have created canvas-topped Crocs. Now, it was very, very hot outside, and I thought, oh, if I buy Crocs, my feet are going to burn. Because they do. They're silicone, rubbery, and they heat up very badly in hot weather. You can't wear Crocs in warm weather is my normal philosophy. But I saw these canvas Crocs, and there's a picture in the show note, and they were so cute. They were a beige background with little pink roses. They look like they've been embroidered in tiny cross stitch. They also had them in blue and gold flowers, but they didn't have any in my size, which turned out to be a good thing because I didn't need 2 pairs. They were on sale, of course. I tried on all the other sandals in the place and realized these were the most comfortable things there. I put them on thinking my feet are going to fry. So I went over to Skechers and bought some running socks, figuring I'll put them in there with them. No, I didn't need them. These canvas-topped ones work great in hot weather. I wore them all day, no socks. Everybody who's moaning about foot odor, I know. Okay, I wore them all day, and they were simply great. So then I had new shoes, and I realized suddenly I don't have the same feelings about this that I used to have. That I said, I have enough shoes. So I went home and I said, well, what about those Crocs I don't wear in the summer? They're rubber, they are not fur-lined, and I don't really wear them very much. So I took one of those pairs and I took it back to the Crocs store. They have a recycling bin for old Crocs, and I put them in there. And I said, this is really great. And it suddenly hit me that I've reached that place in my life and my clutter where I'm going to try to institute 1 in, 1 out for clothing. I don't want to buy new clothes, and I don't need to. Every now and then, clothing just dissolves, just goes away and it's not recoverable. Underwear, leggings. It's very rare, by the way. I haven't had to do any of this for a long time. So periodically, if I buy clothes, what do I buy? I buy underthings. I buy underwear, I buy bras. And that's really it. Socks, but I haven't had to do that in a long time. When I buy socks, I usually buy cotton socks for the spring. That's the one thing I don't knit. But most of the year, about 3 seasons, I'm wearing my hand-knitted socks. Why cotton socks, Gemma? Running. Running and long-distance hiking, I wear cotton socks. In the winter, if it was cold enough here, sure, I'd wear wool. But I'm not usually out hiking in the winter here. So what I'm saying, the strategy is 1 in, 1 out. When you're buying clothes, it's really nice to buy stuff. And that's great, but do you really need all this stuff? Now, when we talk about 1 in, 1 out, it raises the question of the capsule wardrobe. This is a fad that's been in and out since the 80s, and the capsule wardrobe basically runs on the idea you pick 3 colors, and one is always going to be white or black, whichever one you think looks better on you. And then after that, you pick 2 other base colors. So I had one friend who did red, black, and white. I've had people, and it's very common, and this is sort of the old Kinko's look when I worked at Kinko's, brown, blue, and white. Okay, and so all your clothes are based on that. And so anything you buy, you're going to be able to work into an outfit with all your other clothes. This reduces the number of clothes you need. Now, I've lately seen this popping up on Instagram where they say you only need to own, I forget how many pieces. It depends who you ask. 20 pieces of clothing, 40 pieces of clothing, and everything else is a waste. When you're doing the capsule wardrobe, remember that bright patterns that incorporate your colors are great if they'll go with everything else you have. So if you're not going to make a lot of your clothes, you might consider the capsule wardrobe. Because the capsule wardrobe is going to keep your closet uncluttered. It's going to keep your clothing bills down. If you do things like you have a beautiful skirt, 2 pairs of good pants, a nice pair of shorts or 2, and then you have some fancy shirts, some plain tees, and some jacket or long sleeve shirts that act as a casual jacket, whatever. You can go a long way on that without spending a lot on your clothing budget. And then you're just down to basically what I buy. Underwear, socks, leggings, bras. Okay. I might add, in running I do this. I do have a capsule wardrobe in running. Because running is, when you're a woman and your body shape and size change a lot, running can be very hairy to outfit yourself on. I always joke I've got a whole other running wardrobe. However, my running wardrobe at this point, I think the youngest piece in it, outside of the socks, oh my gosh, it's probably at least 14 or 15 years old, if that young. Running clothes do last as long as you figure out how to launder them. But the strategy here is not spending all the money on the clothes. Now, the alternative, you can do the capsule wardrobe. You can do the one in and one out strategy. But an alternative is making your own clothes. I'm still wearing cotton clothing I made for myself in the 1990s, guys. If you make your clothes and you're careful about it, you learn how to do French seams, double seaming, you work carefully. If you do that, you get clothing that is much better made than almost everything you can buy, with the exception of some designer clothing. And I do not buy brand name or designers. I don't buy by labels. That's a cachet, an ego, a conspicuous consumption thing. I never have done it. I don't do it. So if you are making your own clothes, make as many as you want. I mean, seriously, if you're saving money that way, because when you make your own, they're going to last. So I actually am at a place where I have been giving some of my sweaters to charity because they don't fit me well anymore. They're beautifully made. They're in great shape. Why not give them to a women's shelter or a homeless shelter? But anyway, that's the strategy about don't blow cash on clothing. Your money can go in other places. And if you buy or make your clothing in a very thoughtful way, this is going to work for you. I want to point out too, what I'm not including, and I haven't researched, there are clothing buyback services. What's it called? ThreadUp. There are places you can sell your clothing back, and they will recycle it and resell it. You pay certain costs for that, but that's also not a bad solution. But don't keep cluttering up. And then you say, well, but I had this impulse buy of a piece of clothing that, my wardrobe's very plain, so even though these aren't my colors, it'll go with everything. Sure, we all have a few of those. Want a strategy for that? 5 of those. You can have 5 of those pieces. Maybe it's 3 scarves, a pair of wild socks, a crazy, apron dress, whatever. But don't overdo that. Don't impulse buy with your clothing. Clothing, I'm sorry to say this, clothing today is not made well enough to deserve impulse buying. One of my impulse buys that is the exception of that, silk scarves. I do love me some scarves, and I've been weeding that collection down too. I also do wear them as head coverings from time to time for various reasons. You're on your own. But that is the one in, one out strategy and capsule and all that for managing clothing. I might add, when you are cleaning, it is always good to have that box sitting in your closet where you throw pieces of clothing. You pick it up cleaning or decluttering and say, oh, no, I don't really like that. And you throw it in the box. And that is a really, really nice thing to do as we move towards the cooler weather. I know that sounds funny here on July 22nd, 2026 at 1:36 p.m. on a Wednesday. Sounds funny to talk about this, but if you're bringing out the cool weather gear, this is a perfect time to weed through all the summer gear and put the extras into the cardboard carton, close it, put the date on it, put it somewhere for a month, and if you don't open it again, off it goes to your favorite clothing charity. Oh, shoot. I am actually running. I'm not running a lot because of the heat wave going on right now. So what I'm doing instead is my bike desk. Wow, is that great? I had forgotten how nice that is. I mean, look, I've been biking through 2 patients a day and biking very slow, just barely moving my legs at walking speed. I think it's 5.5 miles per hour is what I normally see on the speed. And it's been between 6 and 8 miles a day. This is not a lot. Oh, I'm sleeping so much more soundly. My body likes it. I am not stiff, but I am weary at the end of the day. I am ready for bed, believe it or not, at like 7:30 at night. Now, meanwhile, I have gone back to the Ketorade, and the recipe is again in the show notes because you should have that in hot weather. But I felt like my weight loss just couldn't seem to get started. Now, when you decide to lose weight and you up your exercise, remember your weight goes up before it goes down because you build muscle, and muscle weighs more than fat. But you should get to a place where your weight begins to gradually drop. Mine really wasn't doing that, so I decided it was time for a 48-hour fast. Now, You may remember I've been a faster since I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Not quite since then. I discovered that in the months after my diagnosis. This was when Jason Fung MD's work was very new. Now he's much more established, and it's really interesting to follow him on the internet. However, I am now in my 60s, not in my 50s, and Fung now says you can fast in your 60s. I haven't looked up what he thinks you should be doing. He used to say nobody over 60. I have never followed that. All right, the fasting these days, though, is basically I'm trying to be in ketosis, which means I'm burning ketones, not carb, because I've burned through the carb. And that was the problem. I couldn't seem to get myself into ketosis. If you want to go into ketosis, this does not take long on a fast. And I have seen people fast for a month, for a week. I've done this too, by the way. For 1 day, for 2 days, for 5 days. The fast that seems to work the most for me, there's two versions. One is intermittent fasting, where I don't eat from 6 at night to 10 in the morning. That's a 16-hour fast every day. And then between 10 and 6, I can eat all I want. That seems to work really, really nicely for me. But if I'm going to do a longer fast, the one that really works is the 48-hour fast. And to make it easy, here's how you do it. You start it after dinner one night. So I finish dinner at 6. My fast starts. When I wake up in the morning, say I wake up at 6 a.m., I've just done a 12-hour fast. So you're already a quarter of the way through a 48-hour fast. So that's pretty nice. So at that point, what am I doing on my first fast day? I can have black tea, black coffee. I prefer herbal in these cases. Coffee I usually drop on the fast. I get too jittery. When I drink coffee, I drink it with cream and stevia. You can have black coffee with stevia. Stevia won't break a fast, at least not in those amounts. But I don't do that. I usually use an herbal tea. And then when I get hungry, I have a lot of my bone broth, my chicken bone broth, quite hot. I will heat it to a boil. Bone broth doesn't break a fast. It won't make you leave ketosis. So I have quite a lot of that bone broth. Now the bone broth in itself is a nutrition bonus. It's a great source of collagen, which is wonderful for your skin, hair, nails, actually your cells. But it also has enough minerals and calcium. So it's a good thing. You are not going without necessary vitamins or nutrients here, electrolytes. And I will take my meds. I take medication for hypoactive thyroid, and I take metformin for diabetes. I do take that. But everything else, no. I don't take any other of those supplements. What I do instead, any of the bottled vitamins or anything, what I do instead is I may use electrolyte drops, which is made by the Keto Chow people, but my electrolytes of choice are Ketorade, and I will make a good quart of Ketorade and have it in the fridge. And so I will keep a big, happy iced cup of Ketorade, a big, big hot soup mug of chicken broth, and usually water or iced tea or a bubbly. I will keep those on my desk, and I will use those. Believe me when I tell you, you don't get hungry. Now, I am a low-carb person. I will tell you from experience, if you are a carbohydrate eater, when you fast, you'll be hungry. You'll go through carb withdrawal. I don't have that problem. So you do have to keep that in mind when I say this, that fasting, if you're a carb eater on the normal American scale, which is something like 150 to 200 grams a day, you're going to have a hard time fasting. Carbs make you crave carbs. There's no other way to get around that. I eat 20 grams of carb or fewer every day. So that's why I can do this so easily. But it was really nice. The first day I dropped 1.5 pounds, and it has stayed off, and my body shape just kind of smoothed out, and I'm really, really happy. I did it this past Thursday and Friday. This is because if I start it Wednesday night, Thursday the boys are usually out all day and during dinner time. Friday, I break the fast when we all go out for Mexican to celebrate the end of my work week. It is easier to fast when you are working, when you have stuff to distract you. But that worked really nicely, and I would encourage you to have a look at the Ketorade recipe. It is a no-sugar version of Gatorade. It is much better for you, no synthetic dyes or anything in it. You can see my upcoming race schedule, to which I have added the Oceanside 5K on November 26th, because we firmed up our plans to spend Thanksgiving in Oceanside. We all love Oceanside. We all love San Diego. So we're going back. We've just decided to integrate that into our world. In the fluffy books, I am listening to The Violin Maker's Secret. I'm also reading it in sort of slow motion. And I'm also listening to another Ellis Peters, St. Peter's Fair. I finished Ellis Peters' Monkshood. I didn't like it when I read it back in the 80s. I really quite liked it this time around. It's very interesting. It's a lot of fun. The Violin Maker's Secret really will steal you. I went into it, didn't expect to like it, and it just stole me. I have a hard time putting it down now. I'm enjoying it. I like it so much reading it that I'm listening to it. So I do recommend all this bunch of books. If you haven't read The Brother Cadfaels, it's time. Chris, calm down. I'm going to start looking into Worcester and Jeeves. Calm down. I hear you. I know you're in Australia. I know I'm on the other side of the Pacific. I hear you. Okay. However, going through Douglas Adams again, I don't know if I can listen to that at bedtime because I'll just crack up. But it's hard to, you got to really listen to Douglas Adams. He's really smart. Same with Jasper Fforde. You can't listen to it at night because you need to hear those details. Anyway, something I really like, well, my canvas-covered clogs, and there's a picture of them. But I also was talking to a patient yesterday, and she was complaining about how her 90-something-year-old father and also how she and her husband are drowning in junk mail. I was surprised. You should not have junk mail. So I went to the FTC website, and there is the link to a really good page on stopping junk mail. They have a lot of stuff about stopping physical mail in your mailbox, but also about stopping email scams and everything else. So there is the link on how to stop junk mail, and I love it. She and I both walked away from that session really happy. Also, I am continuing my links to Antifreeze, the app to track ice, and also the link to the AI resist list to help you find constructive ways to push back against AI. You don't have to do this, by the way. That's only if you like having drinking water. Okay, put a lid on it. There is my Ketorade recipe. I do want to point out today the boys are out, so I went crazy. I realized that what I really need in this life is egg salad. Now, last night I made the salmon soup, the keto salmon soup, and my husband has turned into a fan as long as he can eat it on the basic keto quick bread. He likes that stuff. It's a very dense bread, no yeast, okay? So today I looked at the leftover basic keto quick bread and said, you need egg salad. And I pulled out my old Itaki steamer. It's a little portable lunch steamer that you can take to work and heat up lunch and all that in. And it hard boils eggs. So I hard boiled 5 eggs. They are cooling in the kitchen. They're going to become egg salad. I found my avocado oil, organic mayonnaise, and then I realized I have a dill pickle in the fridge. That baby got minced up. So hopefully we're going to have some egg salad sandwiches tonight. And we still have the keto soup. So this is really very, very nice, I have to say. All right. Blather, well, we're in the quiet days of summer, as I keep saying. The son is home from school and work. The farm is quiet. The beloved son actually went out to do a volunteer project. He was getting too full of beans hanging around the house. He doesn't have any summer classes this year. So we said enough is enough. My husband has him reviewing calculus because he didn't do well in Calc 2 last semester. So anyway, they located a place he can do volunteer work. It's a thing called, I think, Hunger for Children or something like that. So he's off today trying that out. So we're very happy about that. Meanwhile, on Saturday, I told you it was a sort of day of everything went wrong and then went very, very right. So the two big things that happened were I found those canvas-covered Crocs for the summer. And I'm wearing them right now. I wear them nonstop. They are exactly what I wanted for around the house and just walking when I go out on trips during the summer. I'm kind of surprised by this. But I also happened into Skechers, a store where I've never been, and found they had really good running socks for a good price. So I bought a packet of those. And then they had these backpacks on sale. Now, I have been saddled with a My Little Pony backpack that I bought in a moment of extreme need and couldn't find any other backpacks at the time. So I got this really cute backpack. It's kind of a purple leopard print. It's in the show notes. Well, the reason I liked it, it was $55. Yeah, it's a bit much, except inside it has two more packs, two more zippered bags. One is a lunchbox, one is a pencil case. They are both very generous. They would both make really good bags for your odds and ends for knitting. And the one really would make a good lunch bag. So they are now with me because also I got online and the lovely person behind the sales desk gave me an additional 15% off. So I got them for $44. I'm very happy. This is why the other backpack is going to go to remainder. So I'm very happy. That noise you just heard is my 10-minute reminder that my next patient is coming up. So this is really nice. On Sunday, I took my unused Crocs. I've used them quite a bit. There's several, God, how old are they? 8 or 9 years old. But I took them back to the mall and recycled them as part of the one in, one out program. I'm very, very happy about that. Then I went over to Starfish Sushi in Los Feliz, and I had the most wonderful, serendipitous experience. They had pulled out a big TV, had it over their patio dining, and they were watching the final game of the World Cup. I sat down with a nice couple of guys, and they were having the most fun date ever. And anyway, we all ended up talking. We had a blast. So this is my moment of thanking everybody who participated in the World Cup. I want to thank Spain for winning, I'm just saying. I wanted Mexico to win because they brought the party. Those were the best fans I've ever met. They were so much fun that I totally became a fan of the Mexican team just because of the Mexican fans. And of course the Scottish fans, but the elimination, I'm sorry, my Scots kinfolk, but no. But at any rate, they were, the Spanish fans were very, very nice and very respectful. And I was rooting for Spain over Argentina. I have to say that Argentinian goalie, I don't know if he got best player in the game, but he sure should have. Believe it or not, even though Argentina lost, the only one on their team who was playing at 100%, just unbelievable saves over and over, was that goalie. The winning goal in the sudden death overtime, couldn't have seen that baby coming. I feel so sorry for that goalie because he was so sensational. The rest of the team, Spain just kept stopping him. I know they're supposed to be better than that, but they weren't having their day. Thank you, España. Thank you, Argentina, for giving us a great game to watch. And my new friends from Starfish, thank you guys so much. And again, I'm carrying the link for Remainders Creative Reuse because I love them. After this, you can see the community resources, including the link to social services, where eventually my links for antifreeze and AI Resist will go, but right now they're still in the show notes. You can see my calendar. I realize it's getting time to add my Labor Day time off, my Thanksgiving time off, and my Christmas time off to that calendar. I did take an extra day for Thanksgiving. I decided I will take Wednesday so I can go down early to Oceanside and have a beautiful day before I get ready for my run Thanksgiving morning. Minerva gets the last word, but Captain is joining her. You can see them on my astonishingly clean carpeting. Seriously, the carpeting with all this Roomba work, it looks 10 years younger around the house. But there they are, lying on the carpeting with Minerva in front of my heated towel rack, because she likes that, lying on her paper bag bed. And they are being buddies together. It's an interesting relationship because neither one of them will let the other one touch me without trying to push her way in. They are jealous of my attention. But they are also buddies, and they lie together a lot. And Minerva's last word would be, don't forget your buddies. I am missing a few buddies now because another dear friend from Sunnybank has gone to that great, the place, as they called it, in the sky. I'll see you there, Debbie, when I get my chance. But in the meantime, you have reminded me, my dear Debbie, and your dear and my dear Scotty, the best damn collie I've ever met, barring Eleanor and Queenie. You and Minerva and Captain have reminded me that the core of the community are these relationships with our buddies. Our buddies keep us going, and the world without them is a much more bleak place. And yeah, Gigi, of course, I'm thinking of you and Karen and all that. I don't want to make this too sad, guys, but I am sort of struggling a little bit right here. But Minerva's last word is cherish your buddies. Buddies are at the soul of the community. Buddies are the individuals who come together in these relationships to boost each other up. When we take care of the community, we take care of our buddies, and our buddies take care of us. And having said that, everybody stay safe, take care of each other, and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.